Okay, hey everybody, it's me again, Josh. This is the first submitted game analysis. Clavier Cavalier, submitted this to me on chess.com. Sorry, Clavier, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Um, so, anyway, let's get started. So, Clavier had white in this game. And the time control was 30 minutes for each side in live chess on chess.com. Clavier is rated about 1100 on chess.com, and his opponent, who is unnamed, is rated about 1200. So playing a little stronger opposition, but those two numbers are in that relative range of 1100 to 1200. So alright, so Clavier plays the English opening. There The first move for white, there are four main moves: e4, d4, knight f3, and c4. e4 and d4 are the main ones. These are the main moves played. You could call knight f3 and c4 secondary, but they're still just as strong and just as accepted. So those are the four main opening moves. He plays the English opening, um, which is will lead into what we call the flank games. So he plays e5. This is the reverse Sicilian. Um, you see if we have e5, c5, that's a Sicilian defense, and that is this is just a Sicilian reversed, except black is down a tempo. So you'd think that being down a tempo would be bad, but in this case, black can steer into lines where it doesn't really matter that much, and some players are so comfortable on the white side of the Sicilian they don't mind this. So that's what I play as black. So g3 was played, alright, intending to fianchetto the bishop here, taking control of this long diagonal. That's a good plan. So bishop to c5, and whoops, I moved too fast. Bishop to c5 and bishop to g2. So you see this diagonal is under the control of the white bishop. This bishop is really strong. This bishop also has a good post, not as good, but still good posts on c5. So knight to c6, knight to c3, knight f6. Okay, the knight could try to come here maybe, because if white tries to kick it with this move, then the bishop is blocked on this diagonal, meaning he'll either have to go here or white will have to waste time moving this pawn again. And you do not want to fianchetto your bishop twice on both sides. That's overdoing it, and usually you just lose the center doing that. So, yeah, moving the knight there seems like a viable move. So, knight f3, developing. Now, if the knight moves there, this knight can take, and the bishop takes, and that seems pretty even. Um, the reason I'd say black doesn't want to do that is this knight right here is blocking this bishop. So white would like to put this knight on a good square, but somewhere else. That doesn't block the bishop. So if he could just trade the knight off for another knight that's on a strong post, I think that would be good for white. So knight to g4. Yeah, he's threatening to come right here. It doesn't really do much because he just casts one that defends. Clavier's put some annotations here that I'll be referring to. He says, after castling, I saw you could win the rook and a pawn for the bishop and knight. Yeah, so he could take here with the bishop check, take, take, take. Um, That would kind of expose the king a little bit, but not too consequential. The pieces are very developed. Um, I'd say this trade is not good for black. I think having the having the two minor pieces can really make a difference. And white also retains the bishop pair in that line, which is a good advantage. So I don't know, material-wise, each side gets 6 points, so material-wise would be about even, but after that exchange, I think I prefer to be white. Okay, so, alright, opening the diagonal here, bring the other bishop out. Perhaps just castling. You want to castle pretty soon, but I don't think the king's in much danger. It would be a lot different if... well, wait. Yeah, there's not really a good way to attack the king. White could try to bring the knight here. That's a pretty strong post for that knight, but there's just not really a good way to take advantage of the king's position, but still castling is very necessary. Alright, so e3 is played. I don't like this move because it blocks this diagonal, and I see you want to play this. That's what Clavier wants to play, the d4 pawn push. And after that, I guess if this pawn goes right here, then your problems are taken care of. So you do want that. Alright, so you have annotations here. You're preventing losing the rook in case he decides to go for it. Oh, okay. You played this move to prevent losing the rook. As I said, it doesn't really matter. Material would be about even. Um, I'd like that trade myself, but it's still a pretty good move. Preparing d4. After this move, you can follow up with this. This kicking the knight, and now you're not afraid of attacking f2 anymore, and you can play d4 without worry. Yeah, that looks like a good plan. Alright, so bishop to f5 is played, developing the other bishop. Yes, which is showing me that the bishop is wanting to come here, which will be followed up by this, and you have a strong bishop anchor. It can't be attacked by any pawns, so that's a threat. So knight to d5 is played. Okay. At this point, black could come. Black could play here. Attacking the rook, rook moves here. This moves here. Well, no, not even that. You take the pawn. Sorry. Yeah, that forks the rook and the pawn. So the bishop comes here. Rook moves. Bishop takes pawn. And now the knight has to move back. And the same position is pretty much repeated, except this bishop is right here. This rook is right here. And this pawn's missing. So this is not good for white, but black just plays e4. Yes, Fritz, I know. He's attacking the knight, trying to kick the knight. But perhaps it's overextension because this pawn can't get any pawn defenders anytime soon. Because you have a blockade on this pawn. He can't move forward because of the knight, which is a strong place for the knight now since the bishop can't come here. And this move is structurally weakening and can't even be played right away because the bishop's in the way. So at this point, it would seem that your best move would be just move the knight here. And then you're attacking the pawn. But that pawn's weak. There's not really too good a way to attack it at this point, though. But, yeah. So, this bishop is bad now. Blocked on the diagonal, and the knight is bad on the rim, so I don't know. Both sides have chances. Alright, so he plays knight to g5. And he says this is on purpose. The knight was actually protected because taking it with the queen allows knight x c7. Okay, yeah. So, Clavier pointed that out to me here. I wasn't looking there at this moment, but that is true. There's a potential for a fork right here. And that's why he wanted to move the knight here, because he wants this fork. So if he just moves the knight here, that's tempting the queen to come. And the queen does take, falling for the trap. But what I'm thinking is, it's like earlier, you're trading both of your knights for a rook and a pawn. Because you take. Okay, this is a bad move. The king should come here. So when the knight takes, the rook takes here. And that way you, material is still even, 6 points, 2 knights for a rook and a pawn. And white still has a bishop pair in that case. Black has a bishop pair. I don't know really how to evaluate that. I think both sides really have chances here, and especially at this level, the amateur level, it's really anything could happen. So, yeah, this move is bad. So the knight takes, queen to d8. Okay. So the queen wastes a tempo going back to chase down that knight. So, alright, so you make the exchange. Now neither side has the bishop pair, but what can you do? Alright, queen to g4. Clavier's comment says he's forking the knight and the pawn. Yeah. He's forking this knight. Oh, he's forking this knight and this pawn. And I don't really see a good way to defend them both. So defending, taking the pawn. Alright, white is clearly winning here. I mean, black has 2 knights, and white has a rook and 2 pawns. Material puts white at 7. What I like about this position is you got d4 space advantage, and that's actually played in the game. So at this point, I would say with your pawn, yeah, 2 rooks is a rook is superior to 2 knights. 2 knights do not work together at all. You do not want to go into an endgame with 2 knights. You'd rather have a knight and bishop, or preferably the bishop pair. Of course, it all depends on the position, but having the 2 pawn advantage, I think, is going to be decisive in the endgame. So a3, kicking the bishop. You're just kicking his pieces into submission. Okay. Alright, so you play this move c5. Okay. So he plays knight a6. Yeah, I see back rank weakness. That's what I see. So, I'd like to take advantage of that sometime, but there's no way to do that now. However, at this point, you can try to kick the bishop with a b4 advance. Bishop has to come here or here. While it looks like here would maybe a better choice, you'd actually want to come here so you can redevelop it upon here, and then, well, just kick it again. Probably try to find his way here, which is a good square for it on the strong diagonal. So, takes, attacking the queen. Alright, now you're you're forking the knight and the rook. And Clavier says this in his comments. He's forking the knight and the rook, and he chose to lose to the rook. Alright, so you play this. Okay, this game's over now. I guess he did not see the attack on the rook, because now this game's over, because you take here, take, and you have a queen. But what happens in the game is actually pretty interesting. It says, I knew the queen would be trapped with bishop b8, but I wrote it off as a queen sack. I won a rook and will take the bishop before losing the queen, giving me 8 for nothing. I also thought I'd be able to get the d pawn to promote. Yeah, you could sack the queen here, which would be clearly winning because you already won a queen and you're up 2 rooks and 2 pawns for 2 knights, and as you said, you could capture the bishop again. You could capture this bishop on b8, and then you get another piece. So, yeah. So what I like about this is don't take the bishop. Just leave it, and you see all of these pieces are defending. Not a single one of them can move. So in reality, you're not trading the queen for just the bishop. You're trading it for all of these pieces here, because if any of them move, the queen gets out. So now you can attack the king and try to promote with these 3. I mean, that looks like the best plan. Just keep them tied up, because if they let the queen loose, the queen will be a monster. Which, I mean, that looks like what they have to do to defend, because 2 rook bishop against a king isn't very fair. So you play rook to d1. Yeah, good move. King to d7. Alright, he wants to come over here, I guess. But there's nothing he can do, really. He needs to try to, like, hold. That's what he needs to do. Try to hold, prevent pawns from advancing. But there's not really anything to do here. This is like a resigned moment. There's nothing for black. Nothing. There's not even a hope of draw or anything. He doesn't have anything. Alright, so you play e4, king to c8. Now the bishop's just pinned, I mean. Okay, I guess he's threatening to come here, winning the queen. Yeah, I guess that works. What I an idea I have is you come here with the bishop. If the knight was right here, you come here. Well, no, you come here, the knight comes here. The bishop takes here. When the knight takes, you take, and you're up a pawn. Okay, that's just a pawn though. You play bishop to f4. Alright, knight to c7. Yeah, you just take, and you win the knight. Now, it's white has 2 rooks and 2 pawns for nothing. If you count knights and bishops equal, 2 rooks and 2 pawns for nothing. And he also has the bishop, which is stronger than the knight. The knight's pinned right now, but that can be removed. So a6. You probably want to break the pin right away. I don't know. I don't really see a6. So bishop xe7, that's good. Just trading off now. It's easy to consolidate your advantage. 2 rooks can checkmate king by himself, and you have 2 more pawns. You have 1 pass pawn right here, which you can push. Or you could just go for the immediate mate, but that would be harder because of all the pawns. So, okay, that's good. Yeah. If the king takes, then the pawn just promotes clearly. So the king would want to like move back, but then you just advance it more. So, b took, which was the worst move in that position. b6. Yeah. And black resign. Alright, and the last comment. Black resigns due to having 5 pawns versus a queen, 2 rooks, 5 pawns, and king. Yeah. So, this was a very interesting game. Um, good game by Clavier. So we started with the c4, the Sicilian. We played through some development, trying to trade here, but he declined the trade, preventing the trade. Just kind of strengthening his center and threatening here. This was a mistake. The bishop wants to come here now, winning this pawn and kicking the knight back. Very good for black there. But he makes this mistake, which I still don't know what I think of this move. I don't like it too much. It's a blunder in this position because you have like such a better move, but objectively, how it compares like objectively, I don't know. So there's this move, the sack. This was a mistake, moving the king here. But you still win the knight, just taking some more tempos. Some exchanges. Yeah, I said here, forking the knight and the pawn. Takes the pawn, takes the knight. Yes, you played that move. Alright, you're just kicking pieces. Alright, yeah, the bishop wants to try to relocate, maybe right here. Takes. Alright, forking. Missed that. I guess he missed that because he should have just lost the knight, even though he's going to lose anyway. Alright, trapping the queen. I've never really seen this before, but it's very interesting to see how the queen's trapped, but the queen's still tying everyone else down, so now I see why the king's coming over here, because he wants to move the knight here and take the queen. So, goes right there, wins a knight for nothing, makes the exchange. Alright, sacrifices a pawn. That's a very, very good endgame maneuver, to sacrifice the pawn, because now the king can't catch up. And black resigns. So, great game, Clavier. That was impressive. Thank you for sending that in. I hope you found this analysis instructive, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, alright, I guess that's it for right now. I found that I really enjoy making these videos, so I'll probably be making more than I originally intended. So, just send me your games that you want to analyze, and there's a really good chance I'll be putting a video. I have 3 more games I'd like to analyze, so I might try to work on those today. But this was the first ever submitted game by Clavier Cavalier. So thank you, Clavier, and good luck in your future chess games.